No Jumper, coolest podcast in the world, and this is the Chuck English podcast, and it's like a
Cool
part
kid.
two,
Oh, he's sparking
part
right
two
away.
of the A-Trak podcast that we just did. So if you haven't seen that one, you should probably check that one out too. Chuck, what the fuck is going on?
What's going on, man? I'm pretty happy to be on here.
Are you? Why's that?
Because I was checking it out, like, yo, because I have this annoying like humbleness to me. That
Okay.
I don't ask for shit, and not like as an asshole. I just don't ask. It could be friends, it could be close acquaintances, it could be anybody. Like, I just don't ask.
Right.
So unless I run into the situation, I kind of just don't reach out for shit.
Right.
It kind of fucks me sometimes, but
See,
like, so
luckily
I was
you got-
like
you got
watching a
him.
lot of No Jumpers on YouTube. Like, shit, I wish I knew somebody on No Jumper. And then he hits me like last week, like, yo, you want to do No Jumper with me? And I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, sometimes you just gotta say it and it'll just materialize.
That's sick. I mean, it still fucking blows my mind so hard that like people that I actually like respect and understand their contribution are like actually fucking with the shit I do, because I was just such a fan until like a year ago, you know?
Yeah, but it's like having great media outlets in this culture,
Right.
like not even culture, in this area of time within our culture is just, it's like, it's unthanked. Like,
Right.
people don't like appreciate it enough.
But we live in like a world where it's so fucking easy to be like an independent media outlet, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like with this shit, it's literally like me and like $1,000 worth of recording equipment and my
Yeah, but
fucking
it's-
iPhone, you know?
It's really quality. It's not really about quantity or if it's there, because, you know, going through my Twitter timeline, a lot of times it's like shit that I used to look up to, tweet and shit. It's like, bro, what? Are you serious?
Yeah.
What do you mean, like guys like switching up what they're
Like
talking about?
fucking Pokemon Go memes from like a rap magazine.
Yeah.
And it's just like, bro, like, just pick a lane, dog.
Okay,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
People
It's
trying
like,
to
I don't
stay
want to
relevant.
ever I'm not an old dude.
Right.
Like, no matter what my age is, like,
No, but you know what it is?
keep-
Is that
I keep-
all the media outlets run to the same fucking garbage content, because it's like, you know, in this day and age, it's so easy to identify what's popular and what isn't, that they all just end up having the same content. What are you saying? Oh, he almost bicked Aaron.
I don't mean to steal lighters. I'm being guilty of stealing some people's lighters, though.
Hey, can
Off
I just
top.
say this off top, though, is that the BMX community really thanks you for your contribution to the lexicon, because Black Mags and like a lot of the stuff you guys have done really kind of like put, you know, riding bikes, emphasized it for a period of time and made it look really dope to a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, and it's really I've always appreciated that. I don't know if I vocalized that enough, but given a time where skateboard rap was cracking,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
But
And
it
then-
wasn't really cracking when you came out on the Black Mag shit, really, right?
I mean, there was the pack. You know, the pack came
Yeah,
out with
yeah.
the Vans.
Right.
And it was
It
like
was
Lupe.
starting to
It was
bubble
like
up.
Lupe kick push.
Soldier Boy was like standing on a board one time in a video. I thought that was incredible.
But it was like,
Then he had a segue.
you know,
Yeah.
I like skated to the store and shit. Like,
Right.
I didn't skate. You know what I'm saying? And actually, the first time I tried to hit a invert or like something, I fucking raptured my ankle. Like,
Really?
completely ripped that bitch off the bottom of my leg.
And that just turned you off to it.
that's
Like,
what-
low key, that's how the Cool Kids got started, because I got to stay out of college for about 6 months and take hella Vicodin and sit on my mother's in my parents' living room and just make beats on my laptop.
Advice to kids right there.
No, don't do that shit. Don't do that shit.
Damn, that's
That shit
fucking
was like
crazy.
a real sacrifice. Like,
Really?
you don't want to ever fucking break your ankle, no matter what.
So-
and the Vicodin doesn't get you high when you really have pain.
That's true, yeah.
You know?
But I remember taking Vicodin when I was a little kid, when I like, broke my leg, and like I retarded, like I'm good. I left the fucking ice cream in the sink, and the next morning my dad was like, "Why'd you leave the whole thing of ice cream in the sink? It all melted." And I was like, "I don't know." And years later, I realized it was like the pills
on
from the
12
broken
Vicodin.
leg. I was on
Yeah,
12
man.
bikes.
Yo, but the thing about the bike community is everybody had one,
Right.
And it was your car at once. You know what I'm saying? And then given like the fact that was so unprecedented to write a whole song about riding a bike
Yeah.
and make that bitch harder than a lot of gangster rap.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because
Like,
it was such a different time in rap too, where it was so much more ingrained with the stereotypes of what a rapper was.
yeah, it was, and I think that's where my confidence came from, because I'm like, yo, watch this bitch work.
Right.
Like, it was never like, Like seriously, I stopped going to school 7 months later. We was on tour with MIA.
Right.
Like it wasn't like something I had to like, oh yo, I'm gonna drop out of school. I was just like, yo, these motherfuckers aren't cool.
Was that like one of the first songs that you made though?
Nah, the first song we made was the I-Rock song.
Oh,
Yeah, I remember.
all
Because
right,
I remember when the shit popped off quick. Cause
all hits from the beginning though.
Jo-
What the
Jo-
fuck is that?
All like Steph Curry
literally,
threes.
because there was like
Steph Curry.
Josh from Flostradamus sent Cool Kids songs to a couple of us, to a couple of DJs from outside Chicago, right? Because he knew him from Chicago. So I remember he sent me like maybe 3 or 4 joints, right? iRock was in there. I'm pretty sure 88 was already in there, right? There's like 3 or 4 joints. And like there was like an email chain of a couple of DJs, and we were all geeking out, like, "Yo, who is this?"
Right.
And then within months,
It was crazy because what really happened is I remember I had a night class and I low key stayed at home.
How old are you at this point?
I'm 31.
No, at that point.
Oh, at that point, 22 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been dicking around for a few years after
This
high
is
school.
late 2006.
Right.
So, I remember Diplo did a show at the Metro.
Close personal friend of the podcast.
Yeah,
by the way.
that's dope.
We actually don't know him at all. We just always say that.
I remember one time like in Philly. Like this is the thing about him I love so much. Like we've been cool since like summer 06, 07. Like I used to be roommates with Josh and Kurt from Floss for like the whole summer, and then Wes came and stayed for like a couple days. Like everybody would pop in and out. So when we got to cracking, like when the Cool Kids got to popping, I remember we did a show in Philly. We go back to this little loft office area Diplo had, and he gave me like $20 to get a cab back to the crib because I was wherever his spot was far. 3 years later, like we're at a festival, a big ass festival. Wes comes out of nowhere like, "Hey Chuck, you got that $20?"
That's classic Diplo, right?
I'm like, yo,
That's the Diplo we know and love over here at No Jumper.
gotta respect that shit.
That's funny.
That's
as
so
hell.
sick.
He was like, yo, I'm gonna need it back. He told me that shit. He told me that shit.
All right, yeah, but this is the question. Like, so did you always feel like you were just like a weirdly just cool, confident kid, and that's why the music just popped off from the beginning? Is because you were bringing your own charisma?
It was more like not even cool. It was just I saw a lot.
Right.
Like today, like I was looking at my Twitter timeline and they're talking about Prince Fielder. And Prince Fielder being at the end of his career, right?
Uh-huh.
So when I was in elementary school, Prince Fielder went to elementary school across the street. And like Cecil Fielder used to pick him up in a 64 lowrider and bounce that bitch up and down the street. Like I used to see shit like that. Like the Dr. Dre Let Me Ride video, I used to see that shit on my street. I used to have dudes that was behind my block, not even on my block. My fence would be like this. We would share a backyard, and the fence was split. That shit looked like paid in full back there.
was that
So-
Did you grew up in Detroit?
Yeah, I grew up on the east side of Detroit. So there was shit I seen, being born in '84 in the east side of Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Like I low-key have photographic memory.
Really?
Yeah, I can remember shit from when I was 3.
Wow.
I can remember my first speaking Christmas. I remember the first gift I could
My
get.
first.
You're gonna
speaking
remember
Christmas.
us when we go to
Wow.
Fool's Gold Day off.
Yeah, I can remember shit like.
I remember my first Juicero.
Dude, I remember. I remember there was this one time A-Trak came into Chicago and we all went to this Mexican restaurant. Like, do you remember that shit? It was like me, you, kids. Like,
Yeah.
I can remember what I ordered.
But I'm sure
I
you
can
remember
remember
better
the
than I
bill.
remember.
What?
I remember how much I paid. It was like $34.
Is this almost like a
Are you
burden?
Jewish? If you remember how much you paid.
Hey, is this a burden?
No.
It almost sounds kinda
It's
crazy,
a burden. Sometimes, like when you have hangovers, it's really a burden.
But I remember
you don't forget shit.
You don't forget anything when you're
Nah,
drunk as fuck?
It's fucked up.
Wow, that's amazing.
I met Chuck around that time too. Like actually, low-key Cool Kids were almost on Fool's Gold in the beginning.
Yeah, I know.
And actually, they played on the first Fool's Gold tour.
Right.
But I remember one of the things that was really interesting to me when I met you and Mikey was also the fact that Mikey was studying engineering, and so you were making the beats and he was engineering,
Yeah.
which was really rare at the time.
Yeah.
Now everybody's got their home setup, but in 2006, early 7, to meet 2 rappers who were like young and as DIY as they were, and then like they had the whole clothing, like their style and shit was a whole dimension too. But like the DIY-ness of Cool Kids was pretty unique for the time.
Yeah, I speak about that a lot, and I try to not take credit for it as much as.
But it's bugged
I
out.
should,
It was a
but
lot.
It was more like necessity. You know how like desperation creates inventions. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, if I want to do something and I'm too smart to sign a deal, right? And I read like the Kashif book, the music, everything you need to know about the music business, like all that shit. I used to like really like when the Neptune's Clones album came out, bro. I was so gone on this shit. That I was like, yo, I'm just staying in school until I don't have to.
Right.
Like, and I just started.
Yeah.
So like when the Clones album came out, that's like 03. Like I remember like shit in college being all Neptunes. Everything in college was like based off Neptune shit.
Really?
Like when I got to school, Grinding came out.
Right. Oh, okay. So there we go.
You know what I'm saying?
That's like me.
That's
graduating
actually
high
like
school.
no, that's right before I graduated high school, and then the day I got to school, In Search Of came out.
Okay.
So I remember my mother dropping me off. We going to the Virgin Mega Store in Chicago. Me being like, fuck all that other shit. I'm about to get this.
Right.
And never heard. I bootlegged that bitch on Napster and only heard the electronic version where it's just the regular beats.
I had that too.
And then bought the CD and was like, yo. And then went home and smoked a bong for like the third time in my life. This is the third bong smoke I've ever had. And that bitch was like at least 4.5 feet.
What color was the bong?
It was amber. Hey, look. This how crazy my memory is.
Insane.
When I got to school the first day, I dropped off like hella Tupperware shit, like big ass container store shit, and then I had a roommate named Seth.
I've heard
Like,
great things.
Who in my head, I think bro invented hipsters. Like he was just way too fucking cool. Like the selection of roommates in my college situation was so crazy. It was like me, right? And then it was like a computer coding, like super nerd kind of Christian. Like his mom was in a kind of a pyramid scheme. I'm not gonna say a pyramid scheme. Shout out to him because I fuck with him. But it was like,
Wait, what college is this?
this is Illinois Institute of Art, AI, AI
Because
Chicago.
he's a Chicago boy.
So
well,
there was
no, he's
one
an
guy,
Illinois boy.
one of my other homies. All of the friends I had, all the people I had as my first roommates, they're near and dear to my heart. Like some of the best people in the world. But like we were so fucking opposite. So it was like one dude from Florida, and he had like a Velvet Underground. He had a fucking cardboard cutout of Del the Funky Homo sapien.
And you didn't know who Del was at the
No,
time?
of course I knew who Del was,
Okay,
but
you
it's
were
just
onto
like
that?
a floppy haired, you know what I mean? I went to school in Detroit,
Right.
and there's a floppy haired white dude from Florida that knows all this crazy shit I ain't never heard of and has a fucking cardboard cutout of Del the Funko Homo sapien.
Wait, so are you saying that you are who you are because you just happen to have an incredibly rich, diverse number of influences at a young age?
Yeah, it's not me, bro. Like it's me because I believe I'm cool, but I think the shit that like the first movie I seen when I get to school and smoke weed is Donnie Darko, and that bitch just came out on film that day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like where my life catches shit at. Like I'm born when the Tigers win the World Series and Purple Rain comes out. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
the first rap album I ever saw, like where I'm conscious of it, is The Chronic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then fucking
Me too,
Criss
pretty
Cross
much.
comes out. And
Yeah, that was me.
My fucking
It's funny
mind.
that we're on like the same timeline because for me it was totally Criss Cross and Dr. Dre, Snoop
Dog.
Dogg at the same time
Criss
when I first
Cross,
got into rap.
I'll tell you straight up, and if you don't see it, then it's crazy. But Criss Cross is the biggest cool.
Didn't
thing.
one of them die?
Yeah.
R.I.P. to
R.I.P.
the one.
Like, I
It was the
cried a
light skinned
little
one,
bit.
right?
No, it was the dark
Oh
one.
shit! All right.
Yeah, but Cool Kids is directly influenced off Criss Cross.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can see
okay.
that.
I'm very into that.
Like once I saw the Jump video, it was on, bro. I knew exactly what the fuck I wanted to do.
I was like 9 years old, and I remember my mom screaming at me and my cousin because they had the N word one time on the album, and we didn't really understand what it was, and we
Hey.
sang along to it. My mom was
Hey,
like,
this shit-
"You are not allowed to say
Shit is
that."
crazy, bro. One of the first tapes I ever got was, I think it was the "Let Me Ride" single, right?
Okay.
And it was a white dude that lived around the corner from me, and I went over to his house, and he had all the rap tapes because his older brother had the shit.
Right.
And it was crazy how much like young black dudes had. Like they couldn't listen to rap because their parents were kind of religious,
Right.
And if you had a white friend, that's where you was getting. That's where you was getting. I mean, that's real shit. I know
Right.
a lot of dudes that didn't really listen to rap till they was 13, 14 because their parents wouldn't let them.
Right.
It was like the white kid you knew. This motherfucker had 3-6. All the white kids I knew, they had 3-6 Mafia when I was in 7th grade. That's
Really?
1997.
Well, you're really fucking lucky with that too, because like in Chicago, getting turned on at 360 young
Yo,
age is
3-6
very
was like,
unlikely.
and where I was at, 3-6 was like white kids. True TRU was black kids. Like No Limit,
Right, yeah,
No
yeah.
Limit was like what the black kids listen to.
Right.
3 6 is what the white kids listen to.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know why the fuck that happened.
No, I get it because one is like goth and dark, and the other one's like, look how rich we are.
It was like C Murder.
Wouldn't you say that there is kind of a kinship, like a connection between cities like Chicago and the South? Like a lot of
Hell
Chicago
yeah.
families go down
I mean,
to Memphis.
a lot of Detroit and Chicago,
Yeah.
you got a huge migration of
Right.
where the black
The families
population
migrate.
comes from getting auto plant jobs. So
Right.
Right.
I don't know how many auto plants or what plants brought to Chicago because I didn't spend my youth there. I was just grew my adult life there. But in Michigan, shit, every hood, every city that's a hood had an auto plant there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, and so you're saying dudes go up from Texas to
families
work there and
Nah,
make
from-
more money?
Most people, you got a lot of Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana.
Right.
Not as much Louisiana, but Alabama, Mississippi, and Detroit.
Okay.
Like my mother's family's from Alabama, my grandmother's from Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, my grandfather's from Alabama. Like, there's a lot of, that's the two
That
states.
influence,
Yeah,
yeah,
because
And musically, that probably
the music shit, the Detroit and Chicago music shit, it'll fuck you up how much everything comes from those two cities.
Really?
Everything comes from the Midwest.
Well, house and
I've said
techno.
this. I've said this a couple of times. Like the California sound, that Ohio players synth. That's from Ohio.
Really?
Yeah, Ohio players.
like all the records that Dre would sample.
you know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like Roger Troutman sound. All that
Okay.
shit is from
Dayton,
the
Ohio,
Midwest.
yeah.
Interesting.
Bootsy is from Cincinnati.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? The funk is from the Midwest.
So you take offense to the
No,
assumption
I'm
that like
just saying
everything
that-
comes from the coasts in
no,
America?
No, I don't take offense to it. What I'm saying is, when you hear the word Midwest, you don't there's no high up like plateau. There's no shelf you put that on.
Right.
But when you talk about Detroit, Chicago, St. Louis, all these cities individually, you get like you understand the richness of it. But Detroit started electronic music.
Yeah.
Chicago started house music. Both of them don't know who started ghetto tech. Dead ass.
That's a good point
Because
because
we both have different styles. Like you have to be from, you kind of have to be from Detroit to understand that Chicago is different, and there's no argument. Like there's footwork music and there's jitting. Footwork and jitting are two fucking totally different dance moves that if you're blind to the blind eye, you don't know.
Right.
The music we listened to in Detroit coming up in high school, we didn't even listen to the radio. Like when I graduated, like when the party happened, it was all ghetto tech.
Right.
All electronic shit. All 155 BPMs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So to see like that pipeline, the I-94 freeway, like basically split up like a lot of what electronic music comes from, with a lot of, the soul shit we hear from the UK. Like being from Detroit and Chicago, like if you don't appreciate like that you came from like the goddamn power plant of a lot of shit.
So when you're making beats like Black Mags, you were just using your resource, like your references that you already had that seemed natural to you, but then did it take you by surprise when everybody saw it? Like, this is so
story
crazy.
of Black Mags is, I basically made it, like Bodie James is my cousin. And before he ever got anywhere, like we would make shit together before I even met Mikey. So we had a song, and he will always rap some really crazy just vision of some street shit you probably could never ever see because he was really in that bitch. So I would always try to make a beat that would like fit his shit in a way that everybody could hear it. He's like, nah, I don't want that beat. I'm like, bro, fuck you. Like, this beat is hard as fuck. So I'm like, bitch, I'm gonna rap on it. So I took him off the beat he was on. That was one of the hardest shits ever, about like, it was like basically breaking a brick down.
And he just didn't get it?
Nah, he got it.
He
It's
didn't
just-
appreciate the
It just
beat?
was like, he you know what I'm saying? It's, me and him are cousins. We gonna fight over certain
But
shit.
were you really rapid at that point? Like, did
Nah.
you think you would ever be a
I
singer?
basically didn't rap till I got a T-Mobile sidekick.
I remember that you told me around the early Cool Kids days. I remember you used to tell me that you would only rap on a song because you had like an idea for a flow.
Yeah.
You
I don't
always-
rap like, I don't freestyle. Like, I only rap when I want to rap. Not like that, but like it's actually focused that skill down to getting better. Like within 5 years, I don't think I won't be one of the best. Like I think about that shit all the time. Like, yo, it's words. I
Right.
love reading. Like I know how to make shit rhyme. Like this shit is
What
cool.
kind of stuff do you read mostly?
Honestly, I'll go on iBooks and see what's cracking right now. I have a book in my
You read off
iBooks.
an iPad or something?
I'll read. I like to buy print, but right
Yeah, me
now
too.
it's just easier to read the shit off my iPhone. The only thing is, it gives me anxiety and makes me think that people think that I'm fucking tweeting or doing that shit. Cause
Looking at your phone that long? Yeah.
But I'm reading that I Am Lala book. I actually had that shit for a while.
I watched that
and
movie the other day, yeah.
I had it for a really long time and knew the story and just, I get lazy with books because it's a fucking commitment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even if you get into it, it's a commitment. Like,
I'll read every day for a couple months and then just not read for 6 months.
Yeah, but I read now, like, just it was like one of those things when I was little, my mother used to force me to read shit. Like, I used to couldn't go outside till I read, like,
that kind of
45 pages or some shit. So it kind of, like, broke me of wanting to read until I like hit that. Oh damn, your parents are right.
But
like,
then you still have like the skill to be able to actually sit down and read
like,
at a later age.
Yeah, I read well. Like like if I had to read out loud, I used to read out loud like as a youth in church. Like I was never bad at reading.
Yeah, a lot of people like our
to
age
read.
are already like they're just so detached from the idea of reading a book because they're used to TV and the internet and shit. You know?
Yeah, there's just a lot of peace in reading, especially as you get like a little bit older.
It's really like a mental fucking workout too. Like I will notice myself on here sounding smarter, saying smarter things because I've been reading like a book that's like a little above my intelligence normal reading level. You know?
Yeah, I know.
Probably helps as a rapper a lot.
The
too,
brain's
like
a
that.
muscle, dude. Like,
Yeah.
the brain, you can exercise your brain.
But it's crazy because I always think that this line in rap was like trippy, but like when Drake was talking about rapping on his BlackBerry,
Right.
Like and how the BlackBerry was so.
Because he
You know
got
what I'm
caught in that weird freestyle rapping
Yeah.
off his BlackBerry.
No, but like not even in that direction. It's just the BlackBerry as a rapper. Like you start. I don't know if somebody listening to this would be able to see this shit, but like on paper, like if you were writing a rap, if you had it in a perfect shape, 10 times out of 10 it was like a fire rap.
The shape of the text.
Like how many words were on each line.
Right.
On the first iPhones, they was having those dotted lines and shit.
Right.
So it was like spacing words differently.
Right.
So when you have words with no spaces, it's like easier to write. Like it's easier to see your shit. It comes like plays like a book.
Right, yeah.
So you're putting the end of the rhyme right here, so you can see that. Like every time you're writing, you're seeing what that word sounds like before you get to the next part of the shit.
Right.
So like, even when I started rapping, it was because the sidekick was like line-free words. And
Right.
I did a poetry class. I was good at that. I did a speech class. I was good at that. So when I broke my ankle, at first, me and the cool kids was gonna be like Atmosphere. Like Mikey was gonna be like Slug.
Right. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we was gonna just be a group, and I would produce. But then
And you were totally fine with that idea.
I didn't want. I low key never wanted to be known.
Right.
Like I wasn't that dude.
You kind of just accidentally got into that.
It just wasn't something I was gonna run from if that was the destiny of shit. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like I'm scared of attention. It was just like I didn't grow up wanting to do that. I low-key wanted to grow up and play football at Michigan.
Yeah.
And then when that shit wasn't panning the fuck out.
At what point did you realize that wasn't happening?
10th grade.
Yeah. That's always a tough.
I wasn't
tough
willing
moment
to
for every
really
boy.
work that hard anymore, given like what all the other sophomores in the state were doing. And then my school wasn't that great.
Right.
Like we were in a really good league, and it was like, all right, fuck it, I need something else to do.
All right, but you as like a teenager and before you took off as a rapper, would you describe yourself as like content? Were you like happy in life, or were you like
Yeah. I mean,
striving for a goal? And you
I
were
always
kinda,
knew what I wanted. I wanted to cut. I wanted to pierce through. I wanted to always like
be the dude from your high school that made
no,
it.
not even about high school, because I fucked with everybody I went to high school with. Low key, I like was cool with. Like,
But you wanted to be the one who made it.
not even thinking about that. I wanted to change something.
Right.
I just wanted to do something that was like putting your finger in the water and it makes that wave that reaches out 60,
Impact.
70.
Yeah.
Yeah, just impact. Like, I honestly, I wanted to do something that I did, which was like, like going to I went to an all-white Catholic high school.
Uh-huh.
And as much as I respect the differences, I was like, yo, I want to grow up and make black kids cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a point in time where they were cool.
Cool to the kind of kids that you hung
Cool
around
to
at.
everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, in the times that we're in now, it's like, yo, you go through a lot of shit, and there's a lot of shit you see. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of shit you're not respected for seeing. There's a lot of shit that you can't even do in a certain way that gets picked up the wrong and interpreted the wrong way. I wanted to do something that was fucking interpreted like, oh yeah, we can't fuck with that.
But did you look at like mainstream hip hop and say like, what I am and what my friends are like and shit, my ideas are cooler than that?
When I seen Shot Boys party like a rock star, I was like, yo, let's do this.
That
shit.
was what made you think like, oh, I can.
Yeah, because I was DJing then.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, I gotta play this shit. This shit is bullshit. No disrespect to them, but they can't be happy with that song.
Oh, so it pissed you off. I thought you were saying.
It didn't piss me off. It was just like, yo, like I remember like being younger and like 94, 95, like being over at Bodie James' like house, right? Illmatic's out. It's the hottest shit ever. I remember him telling me to go get him the tape, but don't fucking touch it. Like, basically, go get the tape, but don't you drop it, don't open it, don't, like, basically guard it with your life. And then seeing somebody, like, protect music like that.
Yeah.
Like, on a medium. Like, yo, that shit's so hot that if you drop it, I'm gonna beat your ass. It's so real to me. Like, that was when I became a fan of Nas that day and never heard a fucking song.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, that was what I wanted. Like, when there was one time, like, dead ass, I took some mushrooms and I was like, I hit Mikey on the phone. It's like 6 a.m. and I'm watching like old Rap City videos. And it's a video of Ray and Ghost. And Ray is standing on a fucking toilet. Ghost don't even rap. Ghost got this crazy ass iceberg pelly, like this iceberg leather jacket on and shit with the Snoopy on it. And they rapping some crazy shit. And I call Mikey like, yo, bro, that's what the fuck, that's what we wanted to do.
Right.
Like, at the end of the day, like, when you rap, that's why I rap. I didn't rap because I thought about, like, being a fucking mogul. Like, there was no moguls. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, there was Jay-Z, but, like, Jay-Z had already crossed over at that point.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was, to me, I really didn't get off the Wu-Tang till about 2002.
Really?
Wu-Tang's the coolest
I
shit
was
ever.
really like dead
held on a
ass
lot longer
Wu
than
Killer
me.
Bees, like Wu Syndicate. Like, if it was a Wu-Tang album, I bought that bitch.
Really?
Remedy. Do you remember? Was it Remedy, the white dude in Wu-Tang?
Oh shit!
No one bought that album.
Yo, I've definitely bought. Wu Killer Bees.
That shit was dope. To me, Wu-Tang might be the coolest thing ever in rap because it's the only thing that was never duplicated.
Never.
Because all the shit that I like, my sacred shit in hip hop, whether it be Tribe, Gangstar, people copied that, right? Like, the other groups tried to be Tribe after Tribe. A bunch of people tried to do Premier beats. On the West Coast, people tried to do Dre and DJ Quick beats and all that shit. But to me, Wu-Tang was so fucking weird. No one cracked that code. No one was able to re-woo the woo. Like, you couldn't do it if you weren't.
Yeah.
Yo, dead ass. My high school, we came out in basketball to 97 mentality.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we lived in that era where Wu could do no wrong.
Right.
But I want like this. What you're saying, what Chuck is saying, is something I really relate to in that, which is this sort of idea of like, some of us do shit because if you have a sense of how it's supposed to be done, you just do it. It's not to get famous. It's not to get on. It's not to this or that. It's not to get the girl, whatever. It's just like you see dudes doing this shit not quite right, and it's not even to knock others. It's not even, to replace others, but you see the shit not being right, and you're like, that's why I started Fool's Gold. That's why Catch Dubs and I started Fool's Gold, because literally we'd have all these conversations of like, why is this dope album have a whack ass cover? Why is this producer working with the wrong rapper? Like, and you when you observe shit for long enough like that, there's a point where you're like, it's duty, it's necessity. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. And I feel like that's kind of why you did your shit too.
That's exactly how I feel. Like,
right?
I'm here for a reason. We all gotta live here. And if I saw that shit and that's what we're on, like, yo, you guys got lowriders in your video. Like,
right.
Besides being in California, like, Detroit was a heavy car city. You know what I'm saying? Like, I saw that shit. You know what I'm saying? I saw shit that looked like Boys in the Hood.
Right.
And if not even the bad shit, the fresh shit. Like, the trackers coming up and down the street with the deep dish white rims, like playing MC Breed in 1991. Like, coming home from basketball practice, standing outside, eating ice cream, watching that shit, being like, damn, dog. Like that's exactly whatever MC Breed rapped. That's exactly how he wanted that shit to
But
look.
you saw it in a bigger context.
I
Where
saw it in real life.
You understood more so than like, oh, this is how it is. It's like you understood how magnificent all
Yeah.
these like things that were happening, and even the lowrider scene, the rap scene at the time. Like you saw the beauty and the value in it beyond.
Like when I hear In Too Deep, like when I hear In Too Deep, it takes me back to like 1990. Like when I hear Ghetto Boys, like fucking
Mind Playing Tricks or what?
Yeah, Mind Playing Tricks reminds me of Halloween
Yeah.
1990 when I
Okay.
actually saw somebody punching on the concrete and they had bloody knuckles and I heard the shit and I was like, oh my God, where the fuck am I? You know what I'm saying? Like there was just a lot of visuals that I had that when you come up and rap is your only toy that doesn't really like you can't buy that. There's like, I bought Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, like all that shit,
Yeah.
right? Like at some point in time that fades out. Rap is the toy that I can't let go of.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I remember when Children's Story Video came out and I was in kindergarten and I remember sitting down watching that bitch for the first time it came out.
Right.
Like I saw that.
At a certain point, I realized that I was kind of replacing like wrestlers and Ninja Turtles with Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, where
Right.
they filled like a
That
similar
was crazy
need.
because when you were talking about the WW,
Yes,
yeah,
right.
that shit.
Rappers are for grown men like
Yeah,
wrestlers. I
dead
mean,
ass.
some grown men like wrestlers too, but it's like sometimes it's super literal,
Perfect.
like 50 Cent.
Perfect
He's
example.
a wrestler.
Perfect
Of course,
example.
of
Perfect
course,
example.
100%.
If this wasn't wrestling, right, we all would have listened to them Joe Budden Drake disses.
Right, yeah.
Because, you know what I'm saying? I'm. This is a sport. Like,
Right.
I don't know Joe Budden, but I know.
Honestly,
Drake.
I am so
fuck
bored with
Drake,
Joe.
like,
I'm so bored with Joe Budden that I didn't listen
Yo,
to
but
any
that's
of
what's
them.
crazy is that y'all are on some wrestling shit. Cause
Yeah.
he flamed the shit out of my man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like just on some rap shit.
I got to listen to him now. Yeah.
Now you just gotta listen to it. Like in all good fun and sport. Like once you listen to it, you're like, damn, all right.
Right.
But because this is such wrestling, like
Yeah.
Twitter wrote Joe Budden off.
yeah, the setting around
VH1 wrote everything that's possible to write Joe Budden off, wrote him off. Like,
Right.
Like we live in a popularity contest now. It don't even really matter what.
Yo, I just remembered something. You know what was crazy? The first example I can think of, or one of my favorite examples of a battle where I first realized like it's not just about skills, it's about the theatrics of it and the contextualization of it is when Dipset and Jay were going at it.
Right.
And Jim Jones essentially beat Jay-Z. People forget that. Jim Jones roasted Hove.
But
Jay-Z
when
who-
Hove got on Ballin'? Or are you
Yeah.
talking about before that?
Yeah, and then Jim Jones took Jay-Z's freestyle
Yeah.
and redid ad-libs behind it.
And
Was
got it
going,
on the radio?
go old head, behind Jay-Z. And
I don't remember the ad-libs.
Yo,
What?
This was hilarious. And then he added his verse, and he beat Jay out of swag.
Right.
Right? Like Jim Jones is not
Million times
as good
worse
as rapper
rapper,
as
yeah.
Jay-Z,
No.
but on some pure swag shit and on some like, just on some decorum, on like the way you present it, that shit became bigger than the skill.
Yeah.
That shit was crazy to
Did
me.
you appreciate Dipset during their reign? Let's hear about it.
Come on, bro. Did I?
Because to anybody who liked
check
it,
it
you
out, check
really
it out.
liked it, you know?
Check it
All right,
out,
let's hear it, yeah.
So, like I remember when me and my brother were a little younger. Like I think we were both all home on a half day when Old Boy video first came back out, and you ain't seen Cam in like 2-3 years, and he
Right.
used to be kind of chubbier
And
he
not
came
popping.
back- all right.
Sports, drugs, and
No,
entertainment.
that show
Cam
don't
was
get
not
it
popping.
twisted. Don't get it twisted.
But he wasn't
It
that
was
popular
popping.
then.
He wasn't
He was
popular.
a rapping ass rapper though.
But
Yeah.
what
Rap
means
his
the
ass
world
off.
to you was a fucking number one. Like that
Yeah.
shit was as big as Dipset Anthem as
And that
right at
remix
the
was
time.
crazy too.
Yeah.
Like nobody heard Roxanne until they heard like dead ass. Like when nobody in the
heard
hood, nobody in the hood heard Roxanne until they heard Cam's version.
Right.
Then they check back like, oh, okay, all right.
Okay.
It's hella versions like the fucking Godzilla soundtrack. Didn't know black people know too much about
Till
Led Zeppelin
Puffy?
until Puff brought Robert Plant.
You're dead right. That's probably my old.
That's same for me.
That's my soul Led
I
Zeppelin
thought you were
exposure.
gonna say
No, I played in the car once you made it.
Simon Says for the Godzilla shit.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a whole nother thing. Damn.
But okay, so it's the "Come Home with Me" album is the one that turned you on to it. Me too, 100%.
Because I seen a video for Oh Boy, and then I was like, bro, got the Burberry Timbs on. He out here wilding.
Oh Boy and Hey Ma back to back as the first two singles.
Yo, he was wilding. And then when I read and heard up that Oh Boy was actually Jay-Z's beat, and Cam just said "fuck
Right,
you,"
yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, this bitch just got hotter. like Cam is out here wilding. like,
Cam like the one rapper who just did not give a fuck about
no,
Jay-Z at all.
It's kind of like when you really think about it, could you really hear Jay-Z over Oh Boy? Or was that just
Because that's the one he did rap over, and then Cam said, "No, we don't want it." Or was it Hey Ma that he did a verse on, and Cam didn't want it?
Jay passed on the Oh Boy beat, according to.
But he rapped on one of them at one point, and Cam vetoed the
he
verse.
thought he was doing them. Yeah,
because he thought it was whack, which is like nobody says that to Jay-Z.
Yeah,
ever.
but like, yo,
Yeah, but if you know,
hey,
people,
life comes at you
if you know
fast, bro.
Harlem, if you're,
Hey, listen, we all bleed blood and we all breathe air.
Yeah.
So life can come at you.
But you
fast.
can see why Jay was so offended
Hey,
by
but
it.
listen,
Sure, but if you're
let's
from
add
New
up.
York-
Let's add up. Just like look, I did this, and rest in peace. But R. Kelly got more solo hits than Michael Jackson. Do the math.
Okay.
Cam got more fire verses than Jay. Do the math.
Well, that's a bold statement.
It's
my
not
friend.
a bold statement.
I mean, I don't.
I'm talking about verses. And I'm not talking about songs. I'm talking about verses. Like Cam got razors and ox. Yo, the whole fucking certified gangsters verse with Jim Jones and Games, like
The ROC verse?
Yeah, where he says lions, tigers, bears. Oh my, yeah, because Cam got humor with crazy street shit. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? I don't take Jay to be a funny guy.
Okay.
Like, you need humor for
Cam
rap.
more of a natural celebrity, natural charmer.
Yo,
right?
have you seen Paid in Full?
yes,
It's crazy. And then I don't like to bring up personal conflict. Like, I was talking to Dame, and he was just like, Damon said one time, like, yo, imagine if Cam was Kanye.
Right.
Like, add that up.
Yeah.
Like, what if Cam was as big as Kanye? Like, where would shit be?
That's crazy.
It's crazy, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you talking about a motherfucker that really brought Pink to the hood. You can't be more influential than that.
Okay,
bro.
but in your opinion, what keeps Cameron from having become Kanye? What's
that
the
little
dividing
50
line?
Cent shit, that little 50 Cent thing, you know what I'm
The
saying?
beef?
Like the internet age catching Cam off guard.
Right.
That's really what I
It was a few years ahead of his time.
Not
right?
even. It was just like,
dude.
you know,
I
when
worked
you-
with him. I did a couple records with him
For Cam. Yeah.
yo, when you think about it, it's like
But I was gonna
Cam does something by a pool, right?
Right.
And then the whole comment section is, look at that baby ass pool. That was the beginning of the meme shit. It's
Yeah,
Right.
you're right.
Like if you ain't in no DJ Khaled situation, you can't win on social media.
No, but
you have to be balling every fucking second.
I'm gonna say one thing though. From my experience working with Cam, I think the same thing that probably stopped him from being as big of a star as other rappers is also what makes him untouchable
Loved
and
by the
great
underground,
because
especially,
he's, but just also
He's like
literally,
Ghostface.
yeah, literally untouchable, literally like people can't understand him, and it's just he's got this thing about him where he's unpredictable. You don't know when he's gonna put a record out. You don't he does shit on his own time and in his own way, and I think artists who are like that have this aura. Right, like we can sit here and talk about Cameron for an hour. He has an aura, legitimately, but that's also what kind of stopped him because he's not a dude that's going to deliver a record on a deadline or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's a flip side of a coin.
Yeah.
Like he's literally
Which he has not done for you. He has not delivered many records on a deadline. You did a couple songs and you wanted to do the album, but it didn't happen, right?
It's probably like we were both busy to be
It
honest.
could happen though. Is it like out of the question at this point? Or?
I'm sure we'll still make more shit together. Just
store
because that's
soon.
the homie. But it wasn't.
Cam, get in touch.
Sometimes a lot of people hit me like, "Yo, why don't you drop Federal Reserve?" The shit was not finished. I'm not even saying Cam didn't finish. Like he and I, we could like. There's a point where like he'd go on tour, I'd go on tour. We'd never finish the project, and then it just became this thing that wasn't finished.
Right.
But I loved working with him, and he's a lovely host. He cooked me a steak and some shrimp.
Really?
Great guy.
Wow, that's awesome.
No, I look at Cam and Ghostface came out with the bathrobe, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The gold goddamn eagle.
They do have a lot in common
bandana
Woman
style-wise.
front,
Yeah.
like crazy ass rhyme shit.
You look at Cam and you look at 50, and 50 was so much easier to comprehend for the
50
masses.
was in an era where it no longer mattered about the music.
Yeah,
Doesn't
it was just
matter.
100% cred.
It was
yeah.
all about the delivery of the package.
Yeah.
Like, what's the package look like?
We needed
You know what I'm saying?
50
Cam
Cent to have
had
Donald
his, though,
Trump.
but like when you add it up, And no disrespect to anything G Unit, because that was a goddamn era.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit was
One of the
really
best,
golden.
yeah.
But the Dipset era was crazy, bro.
But they were concurrent as well. Kind
Not
of.
really.
You
They
think it was
ended
50
as
and then
one
Dipset?
started.
Okay, yeah.
Like, Dipset was kind of in today.
But like,
after the
Hey
Jewels,
Ma is like
after
2002.
yeah, but after the Jewels,
Jewels
Jewels solo, that's when
kinda
kind of
over.
thing just
Yeah.
kind of like,
Yeah, Dipset ended very
The
quickly.
Jewel
too.
solo album was such a classic
Yeah.
that when I noticed that it just didn't get like the attention, I was like, okay, you know, every reign has like a moment. You know what I'm saying? Like when I saw Raucus, when Raucus ended, Dipset started.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Wow.
dead ass.
And it was about the most unraucous thing you can imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
Low key, low fucking key.
But that's
bro.
the way culture works.
But
That's the
then
way
you
music
got
works.
like you had that bridge, that 2001, 2002 era rap is a golden era that people don't fucking talk about because you had Styles P and Pharoah Monch on the song.
Right.
You used to have like the Roots and Talib Kweli came out on the same day, and it was as big as Kanye and fucking 50.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I remember going to the store and there being a line, motherfuckers making decisions over like.
But do you remember
Talib Kweli.
being a kid and thinking like this shit is the same? This shit like, did you realize that it was wrong to divide like high and low culture in hip hop?
But also, the Roots had Beanie on a record. Like those,
Yo,
you know,
the Roots, like that era, like they were doing big budget videos and breaking people like
Eve,
$1 million
who's the dude on
videos.
C 2.0? Cody Chestnut.
Cody Chestnut.
You know, Cody Chestnut right now could come back with an album off that
Yo,
song
I
right
thought
now.
about I thought about that shit like 3 days ago, 2 days ago. I
Cody
was-
Chestnut could drop some shit right now.
Cody Chestnut is based like there wouldn't like everybody went crazy over Jai Paul, you know, the XL artist. Like Cody Chestnut was Jai Paul before Jai Paul.
Yo, Cody Chestnut is still like him and Bilal is just motherfuckers that just do one thing and just dip. Macy fucking Gray. Like that we lived in the era where if you had a fucking smash, you could live.
Right.
Now it's like the smash isn't like the Macy Gray single, right?
It doesn't last long at all.
Listen,
and everybody
I was
knows
thinking
it
about
doesn't
Macy
last
Gray
long
when
now.
I was watching Training Day the other day. I was like, yo, Macy Gray's voice was so angelically weird that she really only had one fucking song, and it's still so good
Right.
to this day that if you hear that bitch right now, it still feels the same.
Right.
That's like to jump to another. That's what's like missing from shit that I feel like. You know, that generation, even the Cam generation, like Cam just embedded people with such a good song at such a good time in their life. Like you can never fade. Like
Right.
nobody will ever forget Cameron
Right.
for nothing.
Yeah.
Never.
But then it's circled all back around where it's like Cam went
those-
low key. He made himself kind of irrelevant
It's
at one
around
point.
the time. Remember when like the MySpace streetwear was cracking, and then they had to listen to Ghostface shirts, and Ghostface
Yeah,
was getting
yeah.
this resurgence of like
Yeah, of course.
appreciation
Right,
for it.
yeah.
You know, like
and then
the
Cam had
hipsters.
that a few years later, or whatever. Yeah,
Dog, that's not by chance.
Yeah.
That shit is real. Like
there's a reason everybody has Cameron socks.
they gonna
now.
do that shit to Lil B.
Yeah.
Lil B is gonna be that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And he just did it with a different whole part of culture.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was talking to somebody about that shit the other day. Like, yo,
The thing that's ill about Cam also to me is that he figured out how to dumb himself down in a way that was like artful. Like his first album, he was just rapping his ass off. Like I
Yeah.
remember buying 357 on the fucking yellow white label.
He
Like,
raps
his-
so fast and technical at first.
And
yeah.
then when he invented the style that we now know as Cam, which is kind of like rhyming the same word with the same word and like sounding kind of dumb but genius at the same time, that was like a conscious and skillful quote unquote dumbing down.
Right.
You know, in a sense, the only person that's reminded me of that is when Rocky first came out. When I heard A$AP Rocky, I was like, this guy can rap way better than he's rapping, but there's something genius about the way that he's rapping.
Yeah,
Right.
Like
that
there's
shit was genius.
everything is calculated where you know, like it's just when you're so good that you can. It's like if you see someone that's an incredible athlete and they're playing with like their kid, but the way that they play is like kind of perfect. You know what I mean?
When that, I'll say this as a side note, as just a moment in time.
I got a good question for you after
yeah,
this.
that Rocky album when it first dropped, that was the finger in the water. That was
Okay.
like.
But so you were capable of understanding what A$AP Rocky meant at that time?
I've never ever not gotten anything.
Do you? Hey, okay, question.
Yo, because I fuck with like
He got
somebody.
the
I was just
gist
talking
down.
about somebody. You heard of Ugly God?
oh yeah.
Right. So I was having an argument with some people younger than me about Ugly God.
Right.
I'm like, bro, shut the fuck up. Like, what do you mean? Oh, that's not what the fuck is real rap?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like DJ Unk, that's old school now. Like shut up.
But did you see Rocky come out and did you say that is a version of what I brought to the table that is going to be palatable as fuck to the masses?
Yeah.
And
when
I
I
know
seen
he's
him,
going
when
to
I
be huge.
seen him, when I seen the Pesos video, it was kind of like, oh shit, they over get it.
Right.
Like fuck.
Like he
fuck
might
the
even
world.
be almost kind of removed from you because it's a couple years later where he might not even understand.
I mean,
that.
but me and Rocky had them conversations.
He
about,
did.
like,
He showed respects like that.
Yeah, like I didn't talk to the whole mob about like shit that I didn't even know I did.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But they was in New York at a time where we was in New York a lot. And,
Right.
And there's a lot of people they know that we know. And then our effect on like young New York at that time was crazy to me now
It was
that I think
because
about.
I swear I was riding BMX and I would see motherfuckers walking around dressed like they were straight out of fucking Bill Bev DeVoe or some shit like
Yo, it was like
90s as
Biv.
fuck all of a sudden in fucking in like dressed crazy, and it was like that was the influence that they were drawn from before I even realized that was the influence.
Yeah. What was that? Was that the question?
Sure, that's a
No,
statement.
no. I'm saying no. You said you
Oh,
had
what
a
was
question.
the question? Oh, I have a question.
Yeah.
How does if it goes 50 Cam? Am I totally off base to be like Gucci is like the next
Nah,
like
you're
rap
right.
superhero
Nah, dead ass.
star in that
You
sense,
actually
in that
are
lineage?
following the pattern correctly.
And we had to go down south, but like, what's your take on what he meant and what he brought to the table that progressed
Honestly,
upon that?
name a Southern rapper besides T.I. and Jeezy.
That could compare
No,
to
just
Gucci?
name them. No, just name them. And I'm
Paul Wall, Slim Thug.
No, like I'm saying, like after those are. I'm saying younger than Gucci.
Right.
What about Future?
Gucci. Name another rapper.
After Gucci?
I'm just saying, name a rapper that's popping right now from Atlanta, and I will ring you and tell you if Gucci has something to do with it.
Well, Future is like the
Gucci.
only. Yeah.
All right, now name
no, I
another
know
one.
you could do this all day. Everybody.
Name another one. Like it doesn't
Migos,
stop.
yeah.
Gucci.
Scooter.
Gucci.
To me, it's all Scooter.
Who? Thugger.
Bankroll. Maybe not.
No,
He was in
no.
jail for most of that.
Gucci. Yeah.
21.
Rest in peace.
21's first
21.
first mixtape that's still online is like a tribute to Gucci in jail.
Dog, yeah, like everybody, every Atlanta rapper's got a free Gucci or something about Gucci song. Like you can't.
But what
knock-
did Gucci do to improve upon Cameron as that archetype?
At first, he had a Dipset movement with them Zaytoven beats and him. Like when they first came out, like by the time the Trap Say A came out and was like hit the rest of the world. Like we've been listening to Gucci for almost damn near a year in full. Nicki Minaj wouldn't be out here without Gucci.
Yeah, fact.
Like,
You're gonna be
you know-
jealous. You'd be jealous of me because I saw OJ get booed off stage in New York.
Oh,
Damn.
That was a rare
Shout out to
moment.
OJ though.
I was bummed. I felt
Double
like
XL
crying.
freshman shit.
Yeah. And it was like walking and like Wiz Khalifa, like the absolute bottom of the bill, like the smallest name on the list. It was a weird time. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Because it was like
By
Ghostface
the way,
and Jada headlining.
Gucci's humor is comparable to Cameron's.
Very
Yeah,
similar.
yo, listen.
Knowing, funny motherfucker. Yeah.
Gucci is undeniably like a motherfucking diplomat of rap.
Right.
There's an aura to dudes where you can't tell if they're joking or not, or you can't tell if they're in on the joke or not. Like both Cam and Gucci, and Ghost, by the way, at all times you're like, are you in on the joke or not? I'm not
Exactly,
sure, but
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the genius.
In this modern age, it's so much easier for us to comprehend that a rapper knows what he's doing when he does something outrageous, but especially during that time period. Cam was doing so many fucking crazy ass things they would say on intros and shit that, like, when I think of it now, it's like that's theatrics.
Yo, the song off fucking Come Home With Me with him and Harrell talking about getting burnt. That's one of the fucking. I played that shit in my DJ set.
The first skit is K Slay being like, you know, Cam, a motherfucker told me that when you first get a bitch, smack her. And Cam's like, what you mean smack her? Smack her. That way she can't ever say, you don't treat me like you used to.
Hey, classic shit.
I'm like 18, just
Classic
like,
shit.
what?
Mind blown.
Yeah, like why?
Whoa,
this is
bro.
terrible. You're the worst people on earth,
Not
but I
even.
kind of like this.
You heard it come out the speakers and it just sounded like Velvet. Didn't sound like Smack a Bitch.
Velvet.
That shit just said it. It just said Smack a Bitch. It didn't sound like. Didn't mean do it.
Yeah.
It just sounded like.
Amazing,
Yeah,
man.
perfect.
It was fire.
I'm gonna,
Let's
make,
go
I'm
back
gonna
to
make
you.
a juice while you guys talk.
Oh yeah, make a juice. Sure, yeah.
juice
Let's
time.
talk about you some more though. Let's talk about this, like the moment where all this shit took off for you.
Oh shit.
You gotta go.
I gotta go in a second.
Hey, well that's all right. We
Interview's
gotta,
over.
You're doing part 2. We got to do part 2 real
Definitely
soon.
part 2.
I'm doing part 2 for sure.
This has been the easiest interview for me because you are so.
I don't think you said 2 words.
No, because I'm just listening. I'm just learning. I'm just like taking notes.
No, but I
Thank
talked
you.
to Mikey before too, so if he's around,
Hey, yo,
we'll do
he'll
it
be out here
together.
next week. Let's do it next
Hey,
week.
there you go.
Let's do it next week.
Progressive.
Yes, sir.
Out here.
All right, man.
Beautiful.
Hey, yo.
Should we
and
keep
then,
it going?
Can we ask
Do-
where you're going or no?
Dick appointment?
No, I'm actually going to, like I was supposed to make some dinner. It's a little late, but I'm still get it done.
For a girl?
For a girl.
Yeah, for the
That's
lady.
beautiful.
All right,
You're a
all
real
right,
good
yeah.
guy, yeah. Hey, so you guys want to just do part 2 with A-Trak now too?
Yeah, let's actually hell yeah. Let's make it a fucking superstar
Pedro,
event.
you're tagged
yo,
back
look at
in.
that super futuristic ass juicer right there. I wanted to talk about that. I wanted the motherfuckers to really see how futuristic we are right now. It's 2016. And I didn't know A-Trak for
gonna
10
pee.
years, and this motherfucker brought a juicer in his backpack to this bitch, and there ain't no juice spilling. He put a bag of fruit in that motherfucker, and look, it's got a goddamn
Should've been
light.
paid
It's got a light. It's got a-
$80,000 to
hey,
do
it's
this,
got
for the
a
record.
This nigga look like iRobot. You know what I'm saying? Squeezing out real juice right now. It smell like vegetables.
This has been No Jumper. Thank you so much for Juicero.
We should take a flicker.
We gotta get a picture against this wall.
I'm gonna call you soon. Mikey gets out here like the 14th. Are you gonna be here any of that time?